This week it was decided which nation will make it to the Euros 2024 in Germany. 20 nations made it through, and there are still 3 spots left. They will be played out in a mini tournament. But what were the results and which teams could surprise? With Germany, the host of the tournament is automatically qualified. The other spots were played in 10 qualifying groups. 53 of the 55 UEFA members were allowed to take part, excluding the host nation Germany and Russia. The draw was based on how the nations finished the 2022 Nations League. This resulted in 7 groups with 5 nations and 3 with 6 nations. The qualification started in March 2023, and the final match days were played over the course of this week. Group A consisted of Spain, Scotland, Norway, Georgia and Cyprus. While Spain were of course the favourites, Norway had some top players in Haaland and Ødegaard, Scotland in Robertson and McTominay, and Georgia in Kvaratskhelia and Marmadashvili. Before the last 2 games, Spain were top of the table with 15 points, after Scotland were surprisingly leaders until matchday 8, and were now equal second on points. For Georgia with 7 points and Cyprus with 0 points, the second place was also no longer possible. Spain moved 3 points clear after beating Cyprus 3-1, while Scotland drew 2-2 with Georgia at the last minute. After Scotland and Norway draw 3-3 and another victory for Spain over Georgia, Spain secured the lead in the table. It is also important who will finish first and who will runner-up, as this can lead to a better place in the draw. Georgia can still qualify via the playoffs. The playoffs are open for the 12 best countries from the last Nations League that have not yet qualified for the Euros. The last 3 participants will be determined in 3 mini tournaments. In Group B, there was a top of the table duel between France and the Netherlands. The group is completed by Greece, Ireland and Gibraltar. Before the final weekend, Gibraltar and Ireland had no chance of progressing. France was the clear leader with 6 wins out of 6 games, while Greece and Netherlands were fighting for a second place. The fact that Netherlands won 1-0 against Ireland and the Greece had 1 game more meant that Oranje overtook the Greeks. There was also a historic victory in which France won 14-0 against Gibraltar. It was France's highest ever win, and Mbappé scored a hat-trick while Kingsley Coman and Olivier Giroud scored twice. In addition, Zaire Emery became the youngest debutant and the youngest goalscorer ever in the French national team in that match. In retrospect, however, the game sparked a lot of discussion, as many did not agree with the fact that France had to humiliate such a small country. On the final match day, the Netherlands beat Gibraltar 6-0 and Greece played 2-2 against France, making it clear that the only way for the Greeks to reach the Euros was via the playoffs. Group C was also very tight after matchday 8. With the exception of Malta, who were on 0 points, all nations still had a theoretical chance of qualifying. England topped the group with 16 points, followed by Ukraine with 13, Italy with 10, and North Macedonia with 7. England secured the top spot with a 2-0 win over Malta on matchday 9, while it was a head-to-head duel between Italy and Macedonia. After Italy led 3-0 at the break, thanks to a brace from Chiesa, you would have thought that it was over. But Macedonia scored 2 more goals with a brace from Atanasov to close the gap, before Italy scored 2 more goals in the last 10 minutes to make it 5-2. North Macedonia were out and Italy jumped on the second place. On the last match day, there was a 1-1 between England and North Macedonia, before the decisive match for the second place, Italy against Ukraine, and the Squadratura had only to settle for a draw, thanks to a head-to-head win and a better goal difference. After a hard-fought game in which both teams had plenty of chances, the match ended 0-0 and Italy won the Euro ticket. There was still a controversial scene in the 93rd minute when Mudryk was fouled in the penalty area, but no penalty was given. Ukraine must now go through the playoffs. In Group D, Turkey managed to surprise after almost qualifying before the 9th match day. There was a duel for the second place between Wales and Croatia, while Armenia still had a small chance of progressing. Latvia had no chance with 3 points. Because Wales and Armenia drew 1-1 and Croatia won 2-0 against Latvia, the Croatians were able to get ahead. Turkey then secured the group win on the last match day with 17 points after a 1-1 against Wales. After Croatia was able to close the gap to 16 points with a 1-0 against Armenia. Wales therefore have to go through the playoffs and still have a chance of qualifying. Group E consisted of Czech Republic, Poland, Albania, Moldova and Faroe Islands. Poland particularly struggled in this group and were just third after matchday 8 with 10 points. Albania were surprisingly first with 13 points and Czech Republic were also ahead of them with 11 points. Moldova were another candidate for a surprise as they were only 2 points behind the second place. After two 1-1 draws between Albania and Moldova and Poland and Czech Republic, the table remained exciting. Poland had no chance on the last match day as they had no more games, while Albania secured their first place in the table with a 0-0 against the Faroe Islands. Moldova could qualify with a win over Czech Republic, which would be a sensation, as Moldova is ranked just 157th in the FIFA rankings, making it the 5th worst team in Europe. So the decisive duel took place on the 20th of November and Czech Republic took the lead relatively early in the 14th minute. After Moldova was shown a red card in the 55th minute, the Czech Republic scored 2 more goals and secured their place in the Euro. Moldova's lower ranking in the Nations League meant that the surprise did not happen, and Poland progressed to the playoffs. Austria, Sweden and Belgium were the big favorites in the Group F. As expected, Estonia had no chance in the group and finished bottom of the table with just 1 point. Azerbaijan were not given a realistic chance either, but they held their own quite well. They were even able to celebrate a 3-0 victory against Sweden, but ultimately finished in the 4th place with 7 points. Sweden were held to a draw by Belgium against their 2 direct rivals and finished in the 3rd place. Austria finished in a commanding 2nd place with 19 points, and Belgium came first with 20 points thanks to a win in a direct duel. Surprisingly, due to a Nations League rule, Estonia will have another chance in the playoffs despite not winning a single game. As expected, Group G was a duel between Hungary and Serbia. However, with their key player Dominik Szoboszlai, Hungary put a very strong European Championship qualifying performance. They did not lose once and defeat Serbia twice to secure the first place with 18 points. Serbia only drew twice against Bulgaria, but the 2 wins against Montenegro secured them the 2nd place with 14 points. Montenegro followed in the 3rd place with 11 points, while Lithuania and Bulgaria took the 4th and the 5th place. With Northern Ireland, Kazakhstan, Slovenia, Denmark, Finland and San Marino, Group H is the first group of the 3 with 6 participants. As expected, San Marino had no chance and Northern Ireland surprisingly had no chance either. After 8 match days, Slovenia was surprisingly in the 1st place with the same number of points as Denmark, after Denmark had surprisingly lost to Kazakhstan. After Denmark beat Slovenia 2-1 in a tight game thanks to winning goal from Thomas Delaney, they took over the lead in the table. Before the final match day, everyone except Finland still had a chance of progressing. where Denmark surprisingly lost to Northern Ireland 2-0. A 2-1 defeat for Kazakhstan against Slovenia meant that they were unable to catch up with Slovenia and even dropped back to the 4th place because of the victory from Finland over San Marino. Slovenia then had the same number of points as the Danes, but remained in the 2nd place and thus qualified for the Euro for the first time since 2000. Finland and Kazakhstan both still have the chance of progressing in the playoffs. The big favorite in the Group E was clearly Switzerland. Romania and Israel were expected to fight it out for the 2nd place, while Andorra, Belarus and Kosovo had no real chance. Andorra finished last, Belarus 5th and Kosovo 4th, while Israel were always close to Romania but were never able to overtake them. Due to 2 draws by Switzerland and 2 wins by Romania on matchday 8 and 9, there was a deciding match for the 1st place on the last matchday. A draw was enough for Romania, while Switzerland had to win. But in the end, Romania won the match 1-0 thanks to a goal from Alibek and surprisingly secured the 1st place, while Switzerland had to settle for the 2nd place. Israel will now go to the playoffs. Group J with Portugal, Slovakia, Luxembourg, Iceland, Bosnia and Liechtenstein was the last of the Euro qualifiers. Here too, the favourites were clear. On matchday 8 it was already clear that Portugal were in the 1st place with 8 wins, and Slovakia had also just won 1-0 against their rivals from Luxembourg, extending their lead to 5 points. Iceland were on the 4th place with 10 points, 1 point less than Luxembourg. And so it remained, with Portugal finished 1st, Slovakia 2nd, Luxembourg 3rd, Iceland 4th, Bosnia 5th and Liechtenstein last with no points. Bosnia's poor performance is particularly surprising. Nevertheless, they also still have, together with Luxembourg and Iceland, a chance of progressing in the playoffs. The nations that have done it the best in the Nations League 2022-23 but have not yet qualified can take part in the playoffs. This means that the 4 best nations from the top 3 Nations League A, B and C can take part. If 4 nations from A League do not participate in the playoffs, the best country from League D may participate. There are 3 paths in the playoffs, meaning 3 mini-tournaments consisting of semi-finals and finals. In Path C are the 4 best nations from the Nations League C, which are not yet qualified, resulting in the duels Georgia against Luxembourg and Greece against Kazakhstan. 5 teams from League B are allowed to take part, as enough teams from League A have already qualified. 1 team from the 2nd place teams in League B, Finland, Ukraine and Iceland, was therefore drawn into Path A, while only Wales and Poland have not yet qualified from League A. Path A is completed by Finland and Estonia, who will receive a chance from League D. The matches are Poland, Estonia and Finland, Wales. In Path B, Israel, Iceland and Ukraine will meet Bosnia. Who do you think will still manage to qualify via the playoffs? Let us know in the comments. It is therefore already clear how the draw will take place and which nation will be in which pot. UEFA has 8 criteria for this, where B, it must be noted that in a group of 6, the points against the last place team do not count, as this gives you 2 more games. The criteria are: first, final position in the qualification; second, points scored in the qualification; third, goal difference in the qualification; fourth, goals scored in the qualification; fifth, away goal scored in the qualification; sixth, number of wins in the qualification; seventh, fewer penalty points in the qualification; and number 8, position in the UEFA Nations League. Therefore, in pot 1 are the hosts Germany, Portugal, England, Belgium, France and Spain. In pot 2, Hungary, Turkey, Denmark, Albania, Romania and Austria. In pot 3, Scotland, Slovakia, Netherlands, Slovenia, Croatia, and Czech Republic. And in the fourth pot, Italy, Serbia, Switzerland, and the 3 other teams from the playoffs. So, there are some absolutely banging groups to look forward to. Here are just 2 examples: France, Denmark, the Netherlands, and Italy, or England, Austria, Croatia, and Switzerland. So guys, that's it with this video. It took us a lot of work, so like the video and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this.